Hello and welcome to Kinboshi Radio. And Nick, I'm excited. Are you excited?
I am so excited by this one.
Yeah. Hey, okay. Well, I mean, okay. There's no point beating around the bush, even though everybody and their mother has already discussed this, but we have a new Yokozuna. The Onozuna era has begun. This meteoric rise, the quickest rise to Ozeki. Now he's also making runs. He's not the youngest Yokozuna ever, right? But like this idea of because he went through college, how quickly he went from starting his Makuuchi career to Yokozuna. The man is setting records like nobody's business. How do you feel about Onosato's performance here? His, knock on wood, last ever as an Ozeki. Well, I mean, hypothetically, yeah. But anyway.
Super pleasantly shocked. I think it's just like in my head, I was like, it's not going to happen for him just because we've been let down at like the last second by like, for like the last year. So it's like for him to like really push and, oh my God, it was good. It was a good one this time. So I'm pumped.
And again, so like he's pushing for Zensho Yusho the entire time. He gets 14 straight wins. So we're going to talk about day 15 in a second. But he looked like a dominant force. Everybody was throwing their biggest hit at him, and he was just doing what he does, absorbing it and moving on. He's been one to say himself that he's one-dimensional, and so we talked about it like in the preview show because again, he's the one who brought it up. But it's like, who cares? If your one dimension is, well, yes, they hit me very hard, and then I push them over. What else do you want from a guy?
I know people get like, they really focus on like some of the one-dimensional fighters. Obviously my favorite's Abi, but it's like when you're good at it and you can use that, they know it's coming and you still win. I'm like, who cares?
Yeah, exactly. It makes it almost even more impressive. And then from Onosato, like truly, in my opinion, I did not feel like he was challenged. He just looked like a man on a mission. It was very impressive. Again, if we look at his career stats, the number of Yusho he's won in such a short time, I'm very intrigued with Onosato in particular, especially to see what he can do the rest of this year. Do you think we're having another perhaps Takerufuji 2021 on our hands?
I mean, minus the explosion of their body, I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, agreed. Yeah, but I don't know. Okay, no. You know what? Forget it, because we need to talk about these two topics together, right? So we already had one young Yokozuna and one that I think both you and I really like. Disappointing tournament here, kind of. Like Hoshoryu goes 12-3. And that's disappointing because he's 2 wins off the pace. But I don't think 12-3 is bad. I think for a Yokozuna to get 12 wins is probably like the minimum of what we want from them, right? We'd rather have them getting 13 because at 13 you're almost always challenging for or winning the Yusho, but Sumo is hard. In my opinion, the only reason the Hoshoryu performance felt disappointing is because he opened it 2-2. Because he had 2 losses on day 3 and day 4 so early to Oho and Abi. And so if I take it that way, like I'm willing to concede the Kirishima loss because as we've talked about before, these two guys are Mongolians, similar ages. They've fought each other a million times over the course of their careers. That's such a coin flip match there. And Kirishima's good. He's an on again, off again guy, but he was on this tournament. So there we go. But so in some ways, it's no surprise that Hoshoryu spoiled the Zensho Yusho with authority. The anger and throwing Onosato down when Onosato had been as good as he was, like thoroughly impressive on day 15. So I guess I kind of have a couple questions for you did Hoshoryu's performance feel disappointing or Yokozuna caliber to you? Because this is the first time we've seen him compete a full Yokozuna tournament. Or like, do you think that are you of the same opinion that it felt more disappointing than it looks at the end, and it definitely didn't end that way? It's just how it started. I don't know,
So
leading question,
honestly,
but yeah.
I'm okay with a 12-3 from Yokozuna. Like I said, it's the minimum, but it's still ideally what I want to see, especially coming from a 5-5 last time where he had to drop out due to his injury. And everyone's like, oh, God, of course he gets promoted, gets injured. What's going to happen? Then to come out 12-3. And I think, like you had said, I truly think the key thing there was he was the one who stopped Onosato from his Zensho Yusho. And he is the only one well, one of, if not the only one who has like an actual winning record against him.
It's very yeah, I mean, stats matter, boom, and I think this goes to what, you and I have talked about before, me and Sean were talking about previously when we talked, in the middle of the boss show, but this idea that, like, Hoshoryu never doesn't care. Um, I think that when he slips up, like the Abi and Oho matches, it's almost from a place of overconfidence, like, he knows how good he is. I don't think it's ever like he's not mentally checked in, like the accusations that have been thrown at Shodai, for example. Um, and I think what you just said about the all-time again, limited sample size because, it's only been a couple years since Onosato turned pro. But that idea that you're saying, like, he's a guy who always shows up for the Onosato matches, I think that tells part of the story. The idea that he's always here for big matches. And honestly, what else do we want from a Yokozuna than being there for big matches and contending for a title? Both of which he didn't technically contend for this title, but the idea is in this current era, 12 wins is usually contending for a title.
It makes so it feels like right for me for him to like he didn't just steamroll everybody. It's like he lost to the Yokozuna. Like
Mhm.
that's probably the most important match.
Yeah, that final day, that's what we want. If people want to have two powerhouses, a powerhouse dueling era, um, we was posting throughout the tournament, and we got different comments from different folks or whatever. But one of the comments of like, when I asked like this idea of like, what do you want in sports? Do you want dominance or parity? And lots of people had lots of really insightful comments, and there's lots of ideas of like, well, both of them are boring in excess. You want to mix or whatever. And so, like, one idea is like, I don't know, let's have two Yokozunas and have each of them win a couple Yusho every year and then a couple Yusho that are a surprise. But like, it's, um, like that's maybe what we're lining up for, right? Like, look at the power of these two Yokozuna that we're about to have dominating our sport.
Well, the thing I love too is they're so different. Like
Hmm.
Onosato is huge and he's supernaturally strong and gifted.
Yeah,
And then Hoshoryu is so much smaller, and because of that, he's so much more technical. He has a million different things under his belt. So, like, I love being able to see them both at the top, but both totally different.
sure. Um, what about so like speaking of the top, not the very top, but Onosato has moved out of the ranks of Ozeki. And so if we feel very impressed with the top here, and now Kotozakura stands alone, leapfrogged for Yokozuna not once but twice, 8 and 7 in this Basho. How do you feel about Kotozakura right now?
I'm super neutral on him. I don't know what's going on this year.
Hmm.
I guess like I'm looking. It kind of started, yeah. I guess last September 8-7. Then he went 14-1. He's kind of just like bleh since then. 5-10, 8-7, 8-7. You're like, it's okay. It's just not. I don't know what's going on. Like I think. Oh my god, who's the Boulder? I'm blank on his name right now.
Oh, Takakeisho?
Yeah, and like Taco
Yeah.
Keisho, I think kind of set the standard for me of what I expect from an Ozeki. And so when he's not
Sure.
meaning it, I'm like, I like Kotozakura, but I'm like, well, but I've seen what you should be at.
I think I really appreciate you saying that because that to me is an important point is when and if we're down on Kotozakura, it's because we've seen who he should be and who we think he still is. And so it's like perplexing and frustrating for him not to be the guy who went 14-1 in November and won the U show and then was starting his own Yokozuna run, right? Like,
Hmm. Yeah, like from the time he entered the Sanyaku, like he's been for the most part like killing it, and then for some reason it's just not clicking.
yeah.
I just don't know. It's like I said, like I'm a little down, but like not as much. Like I don't think he's gonna make Yokozuna anytime soon if he keeps this up. But
No, and part of that is just going to be because Hoshoryu and Onosato look like they're going to take all the oxygen out of the room, or again, so we're going to be in this awkward spot of just one Ozeki but two Yokozunas. Definitely for next boss show because, like, I want to talk about this for a second. So, like, in the Ozeki slots. Daisho missed his shot yet again, which is heartbreaking to me because I really rate that guy. I think he's awesome. It's incredibly impressive for him to be doing what he's doing as a guy who is thrusting this late in his sort of sumo career, right? Like he's not old, he's younger than me, but like still this idea. Um Kirishima likely needs two Basho because his March was so bad in order to get the 33 and try to make that new Ozeki run back up. So actually, it's Wakataka Kage who's the closest to a return to Ozeki after this 12 win performance. If he gets 12 wins in July, he'll technically qualify for Ozeki because he has already won a Yusho in the past. So, like with that said, again, if if you've got those guys in the Sanyaku all performing well but struggling, and then that's who Kotozakura is facing. Those three guys, if they're gonna stay at this level and stay in the Sanyaku, on top of Onosato and Hoshoryu at the top, I'm with you. Like, where is the oxygen in the room for Kotozakura to recover if he is this 8-7 guy? Which again, I don't think he is. That's the frustrating part.
No, I feel the exact same way. Like, I think there was a brief window where there were some injuries and people were kind of in and out where he had an easier slot where he could have snuck in and he dropped the ball.
Yeah.
And now it's like Kirishima wants it back. He wants to be back at Ozeki. Like he's gonna be fired up. Daisho keeps getting so close. Wakataka Kage, I still think I'd like to see him at Sekawake for a while because that's kind of the peak where he was and he was just doing okay. But he's not easy to contend with.
Right. And
So it's
exactly.
like there's a lot of big numbers around you.
Right. And so like it's not that I I'm with you. I kind of don't think any of those three guys are going to recapture Ozeki, but the thing is they're all going to be pushing for it. You know, or not Wakataka and Daisho would be capturing it for the first time. But still, the idea like it's just a numbers game. If you're at the top of the boss show, you have to fight all the other Sanyaku. These guys are all going to beat each other up, and as fans, we love it. But for them, for what they're trying to achieve, it's going to be really hard to put a string together. Not to put words in your mouth, but I feel like that's where we're both coming with those three veterans.
Uh,
And so then Kotozakura gets into that same mix. It's like, okay, dude, it's one thing for us to say, no, if things go right, he can beat both Hoshoryu and Onosato. But in a tournament where everything goes right and he beats Hoshoryu and Onosato, does he accidentally slip up against both Kirishima and Wakataka Kage? Maybe, you know?
yeah, there's no breathing room in that group.
No, none at all. And then on top of that, so like you've got the young guns who are pushing up. And I kind of wanted to retouch on this. So we are done with May. So the next boss show is July. We are halfway through the year, right? June, 6 month of a 12-month calendar. And so I wanted to touch base because before the January tournament, you and I kind of like I pulled out a list of guys I considered the young guns, basically the Gen Zers, who maybe were the next to push for Onosato's race to Ozeki kind of throne. And ultimately, I pulled out 9 names, and we gave them either a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And I kind of wanted to touch base on that thumbs up, thumbs down area once again, and see like check in on where we're at. And this all dovetails with the Kotozakura and those big names up in the Sanyaku. Because here's the thing: in this most recent Basho, the Joey gene. So generally, I mean, depending on who you want to ask, Joey gene's either like Maegashira 1 to Maegashira 3 or Maegashira 1 to Maegashira 5. But it's those dudes at the top of the Bansuke who, because of where they're ranked, generally speaking, have to fight all of the Sanyaku every time. And this Basho, they got absolutely obliterated. It's not that big a deal. Wakamoto Haru, Oho, and Abi all went 7 and 8. So, like, whatever, kind of holding serve, but they couldn't get their Kachikoshis. Gonoyama at M2, blasted 4 and 11. Tamawashi at M3, 6 and 9. Hiradoumi at M3, 6 and 9. Takerufuji at M4, 6 and 9. Ichi Yamamoto, 5 and 10. Chiyoshima, 4 and 11. Ura, 5 and 10. Blasted. A lot of double digit L's in there and all negative performances, right? You have to go all the way down into the Maegashira 6 before you find anyone with a winning record outside of the Sanyaku. Um, so it's tough to be up there. But I also wanted to throw in, before I ask for your update on these names, a little like trivia tidbit. I went back and looked at all the guys who made it to Ozeki in the modern era, so 1958 and beyond. That's when Grand Sumo switched to 6 tournaments a year. So that's when the numbers match up, when people mathematically had the same number of shots in a year to get up there. Only 4 guys have ever made it to Ozeki with one of their 3 tournaments. Remember, the idea is you need to average 11 wins over 3 tournaments and hopefully win one of those 3, but also they'll bump you up with some runner-ups or some, like if you had won a Yusho previously in your career. Anyway, only 4 times has one of those 3 performances been at the Maegashira level, and all of those were within Joijin. So it happened for Tochinoshin. His first tournament in that run was when he was M3, and I think that tournament he actually went 14-1 and won the Yusho. So again, extenuating circumstances. Asashio got up from an M1 and then 2 Sanyaku performances. Tochihikari got up from an M4 and 2 Sanyaku appearances. And Yutakayama got up from an M2 and a couple of Sanyaku performances. So that's a roundabout way of saying, if we're looking at the second half of the year and who still has a chance of these young guns to make Ozeki, it's only the guys who are going to be ranked at least M5, or history would tell us M4 or better. If you're ranked below M4, history tells us this isn't happening. And the reason I bring that up is 2 of the names that were on our list of 9 were Atamifuji and Gonoyama. I think Gonoyama is going to be like M8 and Atamifuji is going to be like M10. I think it's done now. Those guys are not becoming Ozekis this year. I'm just asking you. So again, I blabber, but uh, am I safe in giving both those guys the thumbs down?
Yeah. And just to throw it out there, Ganayama is the most frustrating person in the world for
Oh
me
no.
because he's good.
Mhm.
He's either so good, and then as soon as he like just gets like touches the stars, he just comes crashing down.
And it's rough, man. He's the protege of Goeido, who's like this historic Ozeki who held the rank for so long but never really made a push for Yokozuna. And so I think in my head I was kind of just expecting the same from his protege, but as is often the case in sports, it's like, oh no, it's actually hard for the protege to eclipse the master. One of the few places where I think we're very definitively seeing that is Onosato and Kisanosato. But um, yeah, Gonoyama looks so good in his losses, man.
Yeah, it's good. It's just like, I don't know.
Yeah,
Just never quite there.
and again, anyone here that we're thumbs downing, we're not saying never. We're just checking our own scorecard for this year and seeing if how bad we did. Whatever. Feel free to make fun of us. It's what's going on. Because like
Yeah.
Atami Fuji, for instance, is only going to be 23 um after this year. Like that guy is so young. I still think there's time to bounce back. I don't know what the deal is, but like he's way too young to write off. So
100%.
now it's tough because we don't have the Bonsuke yet, but I'm gonna give you some like vague assumptions here. But let's just go through our thumbs downs, guys. Kind of in reverse order of the way we initially talked about them, but already eliminating Gonoyama and Atami Fuji. Hakuoho, we gave a thumbs down because we thought he was going to spend the first half of this year kind of recovering, like working his way back into shape, right? Like we wanted to give him credit this year. And then this Basho, he opens it up 7-0, takes a loss to Meisei, fine, and then beats Shodai. He's 8-1. He's in contention for the Yusho. We're into the second week. And then he lost all of his last 6 matches to finish 8-7. Nick, how are you feeling about Hakuoho?
So conflicted on this one because his losses may say that one's kind of tricky sometimes, just whatever. But he just got murdered by the Sanyaku and Aonishiki, who was fantastic. And then the funny one, I think we talked about it a little bit, was Toki Hayate.
Day 15.
But I was like, I think if you spend like 6 straight days getting beat down by like the best, you're just like I think there's just out of it. Like he's kind of checked out at that point, or he's just been beat down for so long. I was done.
I think you're right, and I think it also matters that I believe Toki Hayate was on 7-7 that day. Like he needed to win Dakachi Koshi, but yeah, and so like again, just to put an underscore on your point, his losses: Daisho, Hoshoryu, Onosato, Aonishiki on a tear, Kirishima in good form. Like those are not bad losses. What's interesting to me is, well, one, it illustrates our previous point of just how good the Sanyaku is right now, but two, like you have to be beating those guys. Not this year. I think Ozeki this year is an absolute zero chance for Hakuoho because I don't think he'll be fighting high enough in July to even qualify. I think he's fighting at M6, right? So that would knock him out based on those historical numbers. But also, like, I wanted him to at least take one or two off of those guys. You know, like I either wanted him to lock up both the Aonishiki and Toki Hayate wins, or maybe he pulls off an upset against Kirishima, who we've seen in recent memory can be upset. Daisho is a guy who can be upset. Like, it was a little worrying for me to see him get nothing through there. Maybe not so much those last 3 days when he's been kind of obliterated, and I do think the Aonishiki loss took the wind out of his sails, but ugh, frustrating.
Yeah, just the number 8-7. You're like, yeah, okay, that's fine. Because, oh man, I feel bad. I feel for him like 7 straight in a
Yeah.
row.
It's brutal. We can only hope he bounces back. And again, just like back in the day when Midori Fuji had his opening a tournament 10 wins, and then did he lose his next 10 matches? There was a crazy stat or whatever, but like, you know, we'll just hope. I choose to remember the man that won every match in his first week, and that guy is still in there. Also, that guy, yeah,
100%.
that guy is only 22 years old, you know? Speaking of young ones, though, so again, am I? We gave Hakuoho a thumbs down, and I do think that thumbs down is correct here at this point.
Mhm.
Oho is a guy that we actually gave the thumbs down. We said, "Oh, he's good, but he needs another year in the oven to cook." And then January happened, and he slapped both of us in the face and told us we were stupid. And we said, "Yes, Mr. Oho, I'm sorry, Mr. Oho, we are indeed very stupid." But how do you feel now? So M1, he'll probably either they'll freeze him at M1 because of how badly beaten all the Joy Gene got last time, or they'll drop into M2, but he's very much still in contention. What do you think about Oho? Let's say whether he's at M1 or M2. Can Oho make a run here at Ozeki the second half of the year? Can he get 33 wins in July, in September, and in November? And get a Yusho or a tough runner-up, although he's technically already got a runner-up, but yeah.
It's possible. I would say the odds are like 1 in 10. Just the numbers I'm playing on my brain.
Yeah.
I don't I'm gonna say no realistically, but it's possible.
I'm with you. I'm sticking to my guns. I gave him a thumbs down the first time. I'm keeping with the thumbs down, even though I agree that I was incorrect on what level he was at. Like, I thought that that performance he put it in January, I was expecting him to see him get to that level by November, like by the end of this year. So I just thought he wasn't going to have enough time, and he just like immediately proved me wrong. So again, whatever. I'm just an idiot with a microphone talking on the internet, but I still think it's not going to happen this year, and I almost think, despite how good he is, it's because of the performance we just saw from him and because of how good we continue to say the Sanyaku is right now. If we look at Oho's losses, Onosato, Daisho, Abi, who you and I consistently call Sekiwake grade, he lost to Takayasu at Komusubi, and Takayasu didn't even have a good tournament. He lost to both the Waka brothers, but then he lost to Gonayama and Hiradoumi, a couple more of our young gun guys. Those are the losses he can't have. That was the difference between him going 9-6 and 7-8 here. And if he goes 9-6, maybe he's well, no, not maybe, he is a Komusubi then because of how much they're going to kind of struggle with this Sanya. Like that's the stuff where I'm like, fine, get beat by the Sanyaku. If you're getting beat by the Sanyaku, you're definitely not going to become Ozeki. But also, if you're still taking L's to the other guys who are kind of like in your cohort, that's not what I'm looking for from an Ozeki.
It is really funny though that his first 3 days, Kotozakura, Kirishima, Hoshoryu wins.
Dude, tell me about
I'm
it.
like, "What?"
Yeah.
Where you're just like, such a strong win. You're like, "Oh my god," like, gold star win, 3 days
Mhm.
in, and then just tanked it. And you're like,
Yeah.
"What?"
Ozeki Sekiwake Yokozuna to open a tournament, like, maybe that's it. Maybe Oho right now, maybe my opinion of Oho is corrupted because same way that, like, Hoshoryu's performance feels worse than it was because 2 of his losses came so early, maybe maybe I'm being too harsh on Oho because of how excited I got after the first 3 days. I'm willing to believe that.
Yeah, I do think that the Hoshoryu win, like, really tipped you, like, "Okay, he's gonna be running for it at the end," and you're like, "Oh, he didn't even
Right.
Kachikoshi,"
It was after getting a Kinboshi, he had 7 straight losses. 7! 7 straight losses.
which is
Yeah.
insanity.
And like unacceptable for what I want from him, but maybe still acceptable considering again he's 25 or whatever. Like so this one I'm super curious about. Get at us in the comments. What do you all think of Oho? And like is my opinion warped based on how well he started and then that bad stretch cuz ultimately he did recover with this 7 and 8. Super curious, but I'm still giving him a thumbs down. What do you think, Nick?
Same, I'm going thumbs
Yeah.
down. I'm gonna go with my brain for once.
Yeah, I love it. And then here's a shocking one. One we both gave thumbs down, but a guy who, because of how badly the Joey Gene got beaten, he actually I referred to M6 being the where you had to go to actually find a winning record, and Oshoma went 10-5 from M6, and I think he's about to get over promoted. They might drop him at Komusubi because if you look at that absolute war zone and if you acknowledge the fact that Takayasu must drop out, I think they're going to freeze Wakataka Kage at Komusubi, and they need another Komusubi. I think it's going to be Oshoma, which means if that happens, he's in pole position to actually get the Ozeki run. He's the only one of these guys that has the best run at it.
Which is absolutely hilarious because that is gonna be it's just like, "Oh, everybody else kinda got, like, a gradual run up." They're like, "No, you're going in
I
for it."
know. Yeah. They're like, put on your seatbelt, buddy. In you go. I don't know. Do you think he can do it? He's in pole position. The positioning says yes. He's coming off of a 10-win performance. Technically, he's in this cohort and we've seen it before, but it's hilarious. If you guys go back and listen to that, you and I thumbs down to Ohos or Oshoma so fast last time.
We barely even looked at
Yeah,
him.
exactly. Nothing.
We're like, "No, not this."
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm still thinking the thumbs down. I'm sticking with the thumbs down for Oshoma, but like I, I don't know. Happy to be proven wrong.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat where I'm like, "Yeah, no," but it's like you're kind of a side eye, where you're like, "But maybe."
Right, like, I'm just like I mean, the numbers say you have a chance, so I guess we're gonna talk about it. I just don't think so. Speaking of guys who you got a chance, but Onokatsu also went 10-5 from M8, so I think he's probably gonna be around the Maegashira 3 range, so again, well within that window. Those guys M1 to M4 historically have still had a chance to make it to Ozeki in a 3 tournament run. But, like, come on, dude. At least with these other guys, I think this is part of the thing with like at least Hakuoho fought all these Sanyaku and stuff like that. Like Onokatsu, his win against Kinbozan is good. His loss against Aonishiki is not that bad. His loss against Hakuoho is not that bad. But my man didn't even fight the Sanyaku. I do not have faith in who our friend Phil calls the great pork cutlet, Onokatsu.
No. I think you get up to that range, and it's gonna be it's just such a different world. When you haven't really fought anybody at that level, it's like, I don't know,
Yeah.
man."
I think so too, man. I think that like Onokatsu, I think he's good at sumo and he came to it late. So that is a disadvantage he has over some other guys, but physically he's got a lot of advantages and he's putting it together. But I'm with you. Like he everybody gets punched in the mouth the first time they get introduced to the Sanyaku, especially our current Sanyaku. I just can't imagine even if he is up at M3 like there's no way he gets 11 wins from Maegashira 3 in July. There's no way. He only got 10
Not a
wins.
chance.
Yeah,
I think it's
he got
gonna
10 wins at Maegashira 8.
I was gonna say, be honest with you, I'm like, I think he's gonna get up there, and they're basically gonna take a baseball bat to him.
It's gonna be brutal. That's what I think too. And speaking of, I'll just slide into this. We have now moved out of our thumbs down boys and into the 3 of our 9 that we gave thumbs up. We thought all 3 of these guys had a chance of making an Ozeki run this year. And I was the one who pushed us. I will eat all the blame on this, but I was bullish on Hiradoumi because of his 2024, because he's the guy who already had made Komusubi, because he's the guy who already had experience fighting the Sanyaku, because he technically should have been a Sekiwake, but was denied by a log jam in the promotion cycle. Hiradoumi is probably still going to be fighting at M5, so maybe has an outside chance. Like I said, historically, if he made an Ozeki run starting from M5, it would be the lowest starting point of any Ozeki run. But like, I I'm wavering, man. My thumb is tipping downward. How do you feel about Hiradoumi?
I gotta tip it
I
down
tip it down.
on that one.
He just and it's I still think he's good. I just like 6 and 9 from Maegashira 3. If he was going to make the run, it had to start in May. And his losses, like losing to Kirishima, losing to Kotozakura, losing to Hoshoryu and Onosato, fine. But same as I was saying before, if you want to make an Ozeki run, beat the other Ozeki challengers, aka you kind of need to be able to beat Wakataka Kage. And for that matter, Gonoyama, Wakamoto Haru, Tamawashi, I'm not saying these guys aren't good sumo wrestlers. I'm saying if you want to make an Ozeki run, you got to beat all 3 of those guys. You know, that's the difference. That was his 4 more wins to get to double digits. And we'll talk about Takerufuji in a second, but that's another challenger you need to beat. I'm not saying you've got to beat Kirishima, Kotozakura, Hoshoryu, and Onosato, but you got to beat those other guys. Very impressive that he beat Daisho, but it's not enough.
It's kind of like I don't know. It's like when you beat one of them, you're like, was it kind of a fluke that day? I don't know.
No, and that's a tough run. Yeah, it just I'm tipping him the thumbs down. So then there were 2, only 2 remaining, and this one was my bullish one. You had one bullish pick, I had a bullish pick, but Takerufuji, not only did I pick him, I thought he was a lock. I thought it was a dumb question. I thought he might be able to make a run. I thought that we would be looking at this upcoming tournament as him putting the final touches on his Ozeki promotion. Instead, mathematically, I don't think he can even do it. I think he's probably going to be fighting at Maegashira 6 at the next Basho, and that's being generous. Like he went 6 and 9 from Maegashira 4. Technically, that means a 3-rank demotion. I think because of how bad all the guys around him did. When I was like looking at the numbers, I think he'll only drop to Maegashira 6. But again, historically, no one has started an Ozeki run from lower than Maegashira 4. So I think it's dead. I think the 2025 Takerufuji for Ozeki run is done based on historical numbers.
Yeah. No, you're like, okay, maybe it's funny because it's only May, but it's like, yeah, maybe next year.
I know. Yeah.
Like it's goopy to say that to him. Like you said, I was like, yeah, for sure. Obviously he will be by the end of the year, but I don't know. Like I'm looking at his historical matchups, and I didn't even realize like, oh, Onosato Hoshoryu got losing records to them. Okay, that makes sense. Kirishima, he has a losing record too. Makes sense. Daisho, but it's like, oh, you got to beat. You do like you said, you have to beat Kirishima. You have to be able to beat
Yeah.
Daisho.
You have to beat those other challenges. I mean, you just ran so he's got historical losing records against Kirishima, Daisho, Onosato, and Hoshoryu.
Yeah,
So like, and I know it's going to be
and
small
like
sample.
that's the level you
You
have to compete
you
at.
you need to average 11 wins over 3 tournaments. So if he loses to those 4 again each basho, like that's it. Those are the only 4 losses you can give. You need to win all 11 of your other matches. So that means like his margins are razor thin. I'm not saying he'll pull off upsets against those guys. That's not a problem. And like you and I are saying, we're not saying never Ozeki. We're just saying this is a massive turnaround in where my confidence levels were in January and where they are now about to turn to June. And I'm sad about it, man. I don't know. I'm bummed out. I don't really want to talk about it, but I just like it's crazy.
You know, this is one where it's like I'm gonna give it a thumbs down, but like there's like a single tear coming down my face for this.
I love it so much. I'm right there with you. The lone tear as we thumbs down. Let's move on because the last one, this was the surprise of the century. This was your absolute wild card. You absolutely floored me by giving Kinbozan the thumbs up, saying you thought he would make an Ozeki run this year. And then January happened. And I was like, this is it. Nick is a savant. He is a sumo genius. And March didn't go well. May was good. It was a recovery, but it was a recovery from deep. 10-5 from Maegashira 8. So I do think he's bouncing back up to that Maegashira 3 range. He is going to be well within striking distance, right? But like what do we think now about Kinbozan? Break down for me how you felt as the Kinbozan whisperer about his performance here and if that has anything to say about what's about to come.
I'll be honest with you. First, Kinbozan is the one where my brain's like, oh no, of course, like probably not, but my gut is overriding it on this specific one where it's like, yes, I'm still bullish on this one. He's losing kind of weird ones like Roga, Sadnumi, who did terrible, but he's winning against good people.
Oh,
So
well, I
like,
mean,
you know
Sadanumi
what?
was great this past
Doing.
show, actually. Kanto show, 11 wins.
Oh, yes, you're right. Was I thinking the last time?
Must be, yeah.
I don't know. Or mixing him up entirely, which is entirely possible.
Oh,
But
wait,
like
I
for
bet you're
some reason I
confusing him with Ryuden, because we talk about Ryuden and Sadanumi
yes.
a lot as being similar ages.
Yes. And I'm like, you know what? We're gonna still say yes.
Yeah, baby.
We're still ignoring my brain and we're going
I
for it.
just we talked about it before. He has all the physicals. He's enormous. His size is gigantic, both his height and his weight. His power is fantastic. The one thing is he still looks raw like in terms of physicals, like just like drawing or inventing a sumo wrestler in a lab, I don't consider there being much difference between him and Onosato. I think like the physicals, like you just would take it. The difference to me between Onosato and Kinbozan is footwork. Kinbozan still feels so much more raw than Onosato. I feel like he oversteps himself a lot and misplaces his center of gravity. Like Onosato will always keep his feet under his shoulders, which just means that's why he can take these enormous heavy hits and stay standing. Whereas Kinbozan in offense will get ahead of himself and let his feet get out in front, and then he's got himself off balance. Or on defense, he'll let them slip outside, and then he can be attacked from different angles. Like, but anytime Kinbozan's footwork is solid, he looks every bit as immovable and powerful as Onosato. So I'm with you. I'm keeping him as a thumbs up. It's crazy. It's about to be. People will, if he, a man, I mean, if he's got a 10-win tournament in the books here, I don't think the JSA will give him credit for 10 wins from Maegashira 8. But I'm really interested as well to see if he can make this. What about, like, one thing I'm curious about, though, here is, again, he did not fight that many um, Sanyaku even in his January, if I remember right, simply because he was coming from Maegashira 14. Like those matches came later and it wasn't how do you feel are we in danger of slap in the mouth territory because in January like let's just look at the end so the last 5 days he fought and beat Onosato, he fought and lost to Hoshoryu, he fought and beat Kotozakura, he fought and beat Kirishima, and he fought and lost to Oho Sekiwake at the time I believe, or no, that was when he was M1.
Like sure
Yeah,
three.
there, okay, yeah, there you go. Before he got that promotion. So like I don't that's pretty good. Those 3 wins is pretty good. He can do it. My question is, can he do that over an entire tournament? Can he do the thing that Hakuoho just got asked to do and fight them 6 days in a row?
So I'll admit that's where it gets a little tricky.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
You know, instead of just like you said at the very end and then powering through. And I think yes, I'm sticking
I
with
love
it
it.
because he weirdly. Sorry, I'm looking. It's like he has a 2-1 on Onosato and a 2-1 in Kirishima. I'm like, those are big
Yeah.
roadblocks.
I mean, he's 2-1. He's ahead of them, or they're ahead of him.
He's winning 2-1 against those two.
Interesting. Again,
And I'm like, ooh, that's
a small sample size, but like it's there.
it's like there's a little ember there where we can kind of fan it and hope for the
I love
best.
it. He's best Boy Scout impression we got. But hey, speaking of eager Boy Scouts, and speaking of averaging 11 wins a tournament, here's a question. All right, this is I'm baiting you because this is we're gigantic fanboys, but Aonishiki is averaging 11 wins in his time in Makuuchi. He did it from Maegashira 15 and now Maegashira 9. But back-to-back 11-win tournaments from Aonishiki. He's probably going to be fighting at Maegashira 2 next time, so he's about to get some major Sanyaku wake-up calls. He had very impressive wins, in my opinion, over Takerufuji and Hakuoho, two of these other young rising star types. But he lost to Kinbozan on the first day. So another guy who we think is a good challenger, who we're giving the thumbs up to Kinbozan, and he didn't beat him. He had a 3-day stretch of impressive opponents with Wakataka Kage, Kotozakura, and Daisho, and lost all 3 of them. He lost to Daisho last Basho as well. We were impressed that he beat Takerufuji and Oho, but if we're talking about these sort of like the solid Sanyaku, the guys who are kind of immovable, right? I don't believe he has a Sanyaku oh no, Oho last Basho, but like I don't know. Aonishiki, does he need to be in our conversation? Does our list of 9 need to become 10, first of all? And if so, does he deserve a thumbs up or thumbs down?
I do think he's worthy of the conversation. Like you said, his record is wild.
Yeah.
Going back to the beginning, like beginning 2 years, but it's super impressive. I don't know. Part of the reason that I'm still bullish on Kinbozan is that he does have some victories over like real
Mhm.
Sanyaku. I mean, she like doesn't yet, so I don't know how to call that one.
Dude, no, I think your gut
Like
is
he's
right.
still I expect him to go like 10 to 12 wins, maybe. I don't
But
know.
M2, I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, let's like let's work this out a little bit. So like I know that okay. So I've got a little like estimated bond skate here. It's not going to be right, but it's like approximate based on where guys' records were, whatever. But like, let me ask you this: Aonishiki versus Hoshoryu, who you taking?
Shoryu.
Yeah, okay, 0-1. Aonishiki versus Onosato, who you taking?
Onosato.
0-2. Aonishiki versus Kotozakura, who you taking?
That's a tough one. Maybe Aonishiki with what
Fair
we've
enough.
seen.
I'm willing to give you that and not fight you because I totally hear you. Like the 8-7 Kotozakura is totally beatable. I'm being real bullish and imagining that the 14-1 guy is still in there, but until I see it, I think you're correct. Let's give Aonishiki 1-2. Kirishima, who you taking?
Kirishima.
1-3. Daisho, who you taking?
Ooh, Daisho.
Okay, 1-4.
Especially when they're both on a tear up.
Yeah. 1-4. Wakataka Kage, who you taking?
I actually might. That one's tough. I think I'd have to get on to Waka too.
Oh, okay, 1-5. Oshoma, if he gets that Komusubi slot. Here you go. Here, who you taking?
Ionichi.
Yeah.
100% Ionichi.
Okay, we're at 2-5. Oho at M1. Who you taking?
I'm going to Ionichi.
Yeah, okay, 3 wins. Wakamoto Haru at M1. Who you taking?
Ooh, I think I'm gonna have to go Wakamoto Haru.
Yeah.
Typically, Wakamoto Haru at that level is tough.
Yeah, I know. He's okay. Aonishiki's 3-6 at this point. Probably Takayasu is at M2. Who you taking?
Uh, let's see. We just had an out from Takayasu. Maybe Ionichi.
Yeah, you can't hurt me with that. I know Takayasu probably. Yeah. Okay, 4-6. Abi at M3 versus Aonishiki at M2. Who you taking?
Abi.
Uh,
I think he's too tricky with the experience Ionichi has at this point.
Okay, 4-7. Now Aonishiki absolutely has to win out to get Kachikoshi. Onokatsu at M3, who taking? Like, actually, frankly, at this point, this is about to get better. But Onokatsu versus Aonishiki, who you taking?
Ionichi.
Okay, so now we're at 5 and 7. Kinbozan at M4, who you taking?
I'm doing Kinbozan.
And so that's it. Us just like, we don't know anything, but gut feelings, me forcing you to make picks, rapid picks down the Bonsuke based on an estimated Bonsuke for what'll happen next time and what could hypothetically be his first week of the tournament. And we've Make Koshi'd him. Like, I don't think it's useful to even do the rest of these fights. It doesn't matter. The idea is we're not even talking about 11 wins anymore. We're talking about a losing record. We don't know anything. We're still bullish on Aonishiki. We think he's great. Nick is picking him for upsets in there. You heard it. Nick's picking him for a potential Kotozakura upset. The hesitation in his voice for Daisho's Kirishima, Wakataka Kage, but just ultimately still we're so impressed by those three guys, and especially coming off of their May performances, it's just hard. So like, do I think Aonishiki should be in our conversation of potential Ozekis by the end of the year? Yes, 100%. The guy is amazing. Do I think he can get it done? Until I see him do what Hakuoho just did and fight 6 Sanyaku in 6 days, I don't think so. Because I would have said before those 6 days that Hakuoho can do it. And that was hard because those guys are really good at sumo.
Yeah, I think it's tricky and like it makes you slightly more optimistic was when you look at Aonishiki, when you look at Kinbozan, and you look at Takerufuji, you kind of still see the Onosato in there, but Onosato is just kind of a freak.
Yeah.
Where he has, it's just a natural gift, like you said, where like Kinbozan kind of loses his balance. Onosato just doesn't.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And
it's just there's something in there that just gives him that edge that allowed him to cruise through.
I totally hear it. And like Takerufuji is a monster. He's a kaiju, right? He's big and strong, but people joke about his legs, but like he is top heavy. Like I'm not trying to criticize his legs. What I am saying is that his upper body is his strength. When he can overpower people and absolutely throw them down, that's something that I think he can do that many other wrestlers can't do. But it's not that all-arounder type. I think it makes a lot of sense why you and I gravitated towards Kinbozan, who at least of the contenders we've looked at is closest to the profile of an Onosato. Actually, I would even disagree with myself there. I think Atami Fuji has the physicals that are closer to Onosato, but it ain't happening with Atami Fuji, so.
No.
But
no, it's not.
Yeah, I only say that to say I love Aonishiki. Aonishiki's going to be great. I still think Aonishiki's going to be an Ozeki. I just think that to say he's going to do it in these next 3 tournaments is asking so much of a kid who admittedly has given us so much so fast. But also get in the comments with us on Aonishiki. Tell us if we're wrong or tell us what you think about it or whatever. I just think like, I don't think anyone in their right mind, and I don't think his coach is asking him to do that over these next 3 Basho. I think they're going to ask him to like figure out what you can do against these guys and will continue to improve. But I just think that a 9 and 6 from Aonishiki at M2 would be stellar. Whereas you and I are a little further forward on Kinbozan because we just saw it. If Aonishiki does in July what Kinbozan did in January, then everything changes for me opinion-wise. I just need to see something first.
Yep, 100%. Like, I do think the realistic goal for Aonishiki for the next 2 to 3 is at least Kachikoshi.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Oh, 100%.
That's a realistic goal.
Yeah, we just ran off like a scenario where we think it's very likely to see him get 8 losses or whatever, but like it's by no means written in stone. That's written in sand, if even that. Like he should be doing what we were saying we wanted from Hakuoho to open this year, and then he vastly exceeded our expectations. Like, dude, Aonishiki, just get up here and bang bodies, man. Get wins.
Mm-hmm.
Well, other than that, I mean, it was a great Basho. Is there anything we missed, man? Anything else that you're thinking? It's been a long one.
Obviously, I think we missed talking about Abi's chance at Ozeki.
Oh, baby, what do you
which
got?
I'm sure nothing. It's not going to happen.
No.
He's my favorite, but he's a Sekawake to his bones.
Yeah, yep, I hear you. But we still love the Dream Killer. He opened up this tournament 0-3 and then reeled off 3 absolute just Dream Killer wins.
yeah, it's what he does, and I love him for it.
Yep. And same for like a guy like Takayasu. We're always going to be rooting for the story. It didn't happen this time. That's pretty predictable. We'll see what happens next time if he's healthy. Like, there's all sorts of stories. Sumo's great. This crop of wrestlers is amazing. This is an amazing era to be watching sumo. It's so exciting. But now we just got to wait for a Bonds can, another Boss show. Thanks for listening, everybody. Talk to you again soon.